good afternoon, and welcome to Brunch and Budget on Bonfire Radio with your host, Pamela Capalid, a certified financial planner here to help take the bite out of your budget. Brunchandbudget.com. I'm your sound provider, Dialect, and here's your host, Pamela Capalid.
Thank you, Dialect, and thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. So I've been getting a lot of questions from clients who are new parents or who are thinking about becoming parents, and
no, we won't babysit.
No, we won't babysit.
No, that's not true. We'll babysit.
No, we love all your kids. So I actually have a friend who is also a certified financial planner, who is also in my mastermind group. He's a good friend of mine, Matt Becker, founder of Mom and Dad Money, and he agreed to join us on the show and lend his expertise to what do you need to do when you want to become a parent, or you're about to become a parent, or whoops, you're a parent now.
Well, because, the Mom and Dad Money, the premise behind that is, you know how when you were a kid, your mom and dad had money? That's because of him.
That's. Thank you so much for joining us, Matt.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm super excited and just honored to be here.
Woo! All right. So Matt Becker, again, founder of momanddadmoney.com. He's a comprehensive financial planner, a financial writer, a blogger, a parent of two adorable kids. And so I feel like I want to get an idea of what happened when you found out you had a kid. You were going to have a kid.
Good question. So I actually remember I was driving home from work and my wife called me and told me, and I lived in Boston at the time. And so there's a lot of traffic, and I almost rear-ended the person in front of me. Luckily, I didn't. Made it home and kind of just ran inside and, did the whole Kramer entrance, door slam open, slide in. And so it was exciting. It was very exciting. And, a lot of love, all that stuff. Also very quickly followed by, I think, plenty of fear and anxiety and, wondering how we were going to do this and all of that. But
even a financial planner is freaked out about having kids.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a lot.
Oh, man. So what is your background in general? What's your story? How did you get into financial planning?
Yeah. So, I had kind of a business, finance, and psychology background in college. So I was interested in this stuff, but started working in software and healthcare out of school. Totally unrelated.
Unrelated.
Yeah. But kind of within a couple of years, realized that wasn't really what I wanted to be doing. Had kind of kept an interest in finance just for my own life, trying to figure out how to live on my own and pay bills and save and really just kept learning and just really enjoyed it. Learned more about, saving, investing, insurance stuff I needed, all that. Did some volunteer work in Boston again at the time, working with city residents and helping them figure out their own financial lives. And was very, very lucky to be introduced to a fee-only financial planner at one point in my life, who's kind of a family friend.
So explain to everybody really quick, what is a fee-only financial planner?
Well,
I know we talked about this all the show,
and I wanted to throw this in because you mentioned this earlier and we haven't had this enough. I'm asking you to do a little more dictionarying. If you could also explain a little bit about what it means to be a comprehensive financial planner.
Yes, I just
you
threw
mentioned
that word
that.
in there.
Yeah, you just throw it in. Our people don't know what that means.
Sure. No, good question. So let's see. Comprehensive financial planner is someone who really looks at your entire financial life. So they're not just selling investments. They're not just selling insurance. They're really interested in who you are as a person, what you're working towards, and then helping you use everything at your disposal to help you reach those goals. So looking at cash flow, looking at basic savings, looking at employee benefits, insurance, estate planning, investments, college savings, buying a house, really across the spectrum. And so it's really about incorporating all of those tools, everything available to you to help you kind of reach your goals, live whatever life it is that you want to live. And then the fee only part of it is, we can nerd out about this, obviously.
I know.
But it's really all about how you get paid and what that means for the client. Mm-hmm. So a lot of advisors are paid on commission. So they're paid, a certain percentage of every dollar that you invest in a particular mutual fund, or a percentage of every dollar of life insurance that you buy, or something like that. And so they're paid to sell products. They're paid by the financial companies that sell those products. Fee-only financial planners are paid by their clients only, and are not affiliated with any financial companies, do not accept any payments for selling financial products. And the reason that appealed to me is just because it makes it easier. There are always conflicts of interest. I actually get bothered when people say there aren't conflicts of interest with fee-only planners. There are, but they're minimized because to the extent possible, you align kind of your financial incentives with your client's financial incentives. And it means that you are free to recommend, again, the entire world of tools, financial tools available to your clients, as opposed to being limited to recommending a certain set of products that pay you a commission.
Yeah. Wait, I want to know what financial conflicts of interest you have in your brain about fee-only planners. I want to nerd out about this a little.
Okay. Well,
I feel like that listeners should be aware of so what's in it for us, right? Besides, a client paying us. Sure.
So, even within the fee-only world, there are different ways of getting paid. So probably the most common is what's called assets under management, which is when the financial planner charges you basically a percent of every dollar that you invest with him or her. And he or she will manage your investments for you. And also, a lot of times do kind of general financial planning, but the fee is based on the number of dollars in your investment accounts that financial planner is managing for you. And that's a fine model, but there is a conflict of interest there in that the advisor has an incentive to recommend that you invest more money as opposed to maybe paying down debt or saving for a house or starting a business or changing jobs or whatever, because the more money that you invest with them, the more money they'll make. So, that's one. And then even just, other financial planners will charge hourly or might charge, monthly subscriptions. That's something that you and I do. And even then, there is always incentives to, I get paid when my clients keep working with me. So, to some extent, I probably have an incentive to maybe overestimate the value of my services or their level of need for me, potentially just because I get paid when they stay on. So, or if you're an hourly planner, you might get paid if you work more hours or things like that. So, there are always conflicts of interest, but again, the fee only model is meant to minimize them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that you said that you'll overestimate your value, because a lot of times I think when it comes to conflict of interest stuff, people go straight to scheming scammer.
Sure.
And a lot of times, a lot of folks are very distrustful of people in the finance business. If you've heard of a financial advisor but never had one, you probably heard your story of a friend or a celebrity who got screwed over by one and all that. So it can often seem like a devious thing, but it's not that. It's human nature to want stuff for the thing that you do, and it's really easy to overvalue yourself because you're you.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And I feel like it's, it could be akin to a personal trainer, right? Or a therapist.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
It's really similar. It's we want our clients to keep needing us, but we also want them to get to the point where they don't.
Right. Well, and I think the trainer thing wouldn't that be how you find if somebody's good or not, right?
Yeah.
Because if the personal trainer is no, you need to work out every day and keep going, and then you're I'm in pain.
Stop.
Just stop. Right. No, this is not cool. You need to skip a day.
Yeah. Give me a break.
For sure.
No, but that's... Yeah, go ahead.
No, and then there are some people, whether it's a trainer or finances, there are some people who you can coach for a certain amount of time and then they're going to be fine on their own. And then there are some people who, are really going to benefit from the ongoing, accountability and everything that comes with it. And so, and that's a personal decision. And, as the trainer or as the financial planner, the financial incentive is to keep you on and continue those payments and continue my income and all of that. So there's no matter how much you try to eliminate it, there are always conflicts of interest.
Got it. Yes. Yay. Thanks for your honesty about that, because that's real. Sure. And I think the reason why we bring up fee only is because fee only is probably the least conflict of interest way to work with a financial planner, if that's something that you want to do. And so that's something to definitely look for. I want to go back to you becoming a parent.
Yes.
What was the hardest thing that you found becoming a new parent, and what kinds of things were you surprised by the most?
Yeah. I think that it's hard to say surprise. I think it's just more of I don't know if there are specific things that surprised me, but I would say just the level of difficulty of everything that you are told is going to be difficult. Everyone hears that you don't sleep, right? And that's true. And it's just impossible to know how difficult that is until you're going through it. Actually, probably the most surprising thing, and this is not necessarily a financial standpoint, although it ties in, is just the way that your relationship with your spouse or partner changes once you have a baby. And it's no longer just the two of you, and you have this life, that you're both caring for. No matter, I love my wife, Casey. She is awesome. She's such a great mom. We differ in certain ways in our parenting styles and, little things that should he get milk right now or water or it's stupid things. You end up having conversations like that all the time. And so I'd say that probably is the most surprising thing to me, just in terms of the change in having a child.
Wow. That's I feel like because I know I usually say when Dialect and I first moved in together, we had stupid arguments about who's washing the dishes.
Right. Yeah. Or how to load the dishwasher.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. No, we haven't had it. We don't have a kid.
Yeah.
We don't.
Load the dishwasher, right? That's what the kid.
Oh.
No,
that's why you had a kid, right, Matt?
Right.
Then you don't have to argue about who's loading the dishwasher.
Exactly. Household chores are so much easier now.
I love it. So let's roll to our first song, and then I want to dive in on some of the financial stuff that you need to prepare for to become a parent.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
And we're going to start off with an artist with a very epic name, Until the Very End. I love sentence names. I'm waiting for, because most of those 1 and 2 word names are taken. So, you're going to have to, I'm waiting for 100 years from now when every artist with a creative name has to be a paragraph. But this is Until the Very End with My Parents Ain't Famous. And we'll be with you in a minute. Run your budget. Bonfire Radio.
Whoa. Yeah. My parents ain't famous, ain't grow up in mansions. I told you I got it, I ain't really have it. My parents ain't famous, I work for allowance. I turn a sunny day into a vacation island. Cause my parents ain't famous. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. My parents ain't famous. Yeah, okay, yeah, my parents ain't famous. You got a car for graduation, well, congratulations. I got my car 2 years later, all it took was patience. When you travel for Christmas, I was in the same location. You was always dressed in the latest, I was just the latest. You see, my grandma had the couch with the plastic inserted. And in the summer, if you fell asleep on it, you burn it. When it was winter, you can feel the wind come through the curtains. We blow our breath into the room and act like it don't hurt us. My parents ain't famous, my cereal's nameless. And it came in that big ass bag, pour it and shake it. And the moment you see a spider, they crawl into spaces. And you know you can't go to sleep till you kill it or cage it. Yeah, looking in my backyard, crows living with raccoons. Wanted to be on Disney Channel, then I got tattoos. Soon as I'm in that house, did my homework and I vacuumed. Started cleaning the bathroom and wishing it was a castle. My parents ain't famous, ain't grow up in mansions. I told you I got it, I ain't really have it. My parents ain't famous, I work for allowance. I turn a sunny day into a vacation island. Cause my parents ain't famous. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. My parents ain't famous. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay. My parents ain't famous. Yeah. Use your imagination, ho. Though we living broke, do or die. Fake it till you make it. When them haters roll up on you, say, nah, keep it moving, not today, motherfucker, not today. I got enough to take you out, and you can order whatever you like. I'll be cool with water and ice, and maybe bread if they bring it. I'm just saying, I got enough to be paying. I just go home and eat whatever's in the fridge, it's alright. Use your imagination, ho. Though we living broke, do or die, fake it till you make it. When them haters roll up on you, say, nah, keep it moving, not today, motherfucker, not today. Use your imagination, ho. Though we living broke, do or die, fake it till you make it. When them haters roll up on you, say, nah, keep it moving, not today, motherfucker, not today. My parents ain't famous, ain't grow up in mansions. I told you I got it, I ain't really have it. My parents ain't famous. I work for allowance. I turn a sunny day into a vacation island. Cause my parents ain't famous. Yeah, yeah, okay, hey, yeah, yeah, okay, hey, yeah, yeah, okay, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, okay. My parents ain't famous. Yeah, okay, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah.
And we are back. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. My parents ain't famous.
That's real.
By Until the Very End. Well, I remember there were some rappers when I was first coming up. They had T-shirts that said "No rich relatives" and all that. You know, the idea that we're all trying to get by on our own and things like that.
Bootstraps.
Well, you know, that's because the thing of it is, and I think Matt, you would understand a lot of this stuff is when we talk about money and we talk about family, we're very weirdly separate. And we want to be like, yo, I'm successful because my parents, they're not the ones who did anything for me. And you hear that from rich folks, you hear that from poor folks, even though they're like, you know, you wouldn't know how to tie your shoes without your parents.
Yeah.
And then, well, the part that really matters, because that's all what it is, but the part that really matters is then as an adult, when you want to talk to your parents about money, you turn into a child, you turn into that kid who has no agency, and you have no idea what to do because the way that you've been brought up is to keep these things separate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so
For sure.
true.
Yeah.
It's so
Well, and
true.
I think that's something that I get asked about a lot, and something I'd actually like to learn more about, because it's not something I honestly know a lot about, is teaching good money skills to your kids. And I'm guessing you guys actually know a lot more about that.
Yeah, we have a lot we can cipher about.
Yeah, so I think that's probably a sidetrack to this conversation, but super important and a great point.
Yeah, totally. How have you started integrating it with your kids in terms of having like basic conversations with them?
A little bit.
How old are they?
We talk. My kids are 5 and 3.
Okay.
So my old Aiden just turned 5. We talk, when they want something at the store or something, we'll talk about how it costs money and how we,
cool.
Things like that. For our 5-year-old, the one who just turned 5, we are probably going to be starting an allowance pretty soon. So we were talking about maybe giving him, $2 a week or something like that. But to let him start making some decisions. So that's really the extent of it. But it's definitely something we do think about.
Yeah, totally. That's a great place to start. I feel like in general, I never got an allowance. So the concept of money, just like I kind of had to learn it accidentally or like make some guesses as a kid of like what all of this meant.
Yo, this may be jumping a little ahead in things, or at least in intensity. But
let's go.
Well, 'cause this is the thing that I wonder when we're teaching things to our kids. I think you have some insight on this. How do we focus on breaking bad habits?
Mm-hmm. Or not starting bad habits.
In terms of modeling and things like that for our kids, like things that we know are our habits, we know there are tendencies, we know there's a good chance we're probably going to do it at least once in front of our kids, so we want to get out ahead of it. You know what I mean?
Our own habit.
Yeah, our own habits as parents.
Yeah. Well, that's a good one. That's something that I struggle with, honestly, a lot. So one thing that, and this is again not financial, but I think it extends to this question of habits, is checking my phone. And my kids are not old enough to have phones, obviously, but they know how to use them.
Of course.
But in an ideal world, I would like to kind of be done with work and put my phone away and then just have family time and like never check it and never even think about it. And to the point you're talking about, I really dislike the idea of modeling that I'm like checking my phone. And that my, phone is more important than what I'm doing with them or whatever. Yeah. It's also really hard because it's a habit, and it's like, it's like crack. It's like, they talk about it. It's addictive, that you check it and you get the stimulus and all that. So, I think that accountability with any of it is always helpful. We've talked about some of this in our mastermind group. We've, held each other accountable for working out. We've held each other accountable for little habits like checking phone after work and stuff like that. And I think, the first step is just acknowledging it and maybe having an open dialogue with whether it's a friend or a spouse or partner about what is important to you about raising your kids, what kind of values do you want to instill in them, and just kind of getting specific about that. And then breaking it down into what are the little things that go into that and how can we be held accountable for it? Because it's hard to do on your own when you're the only one checking yourself. I think having someone else to kind of check in with is helpful.
That's really dope.
Yeah. That's
And that exactly is, I appreciate you taking it into just straight up habits to explain the money stuff. Because
Yeah, because it's all like your kids are watching everything. And I feel like I say that not even knowing what that means, like because I don't have a kid yet, but I'm just like terrified of like knowing like, oh my God, they're literally going to see everything, even things I don't even notice I do.
And you can think about, I don't know for you guys, but like, I remember being a kid and being so annoyed at things my dad did, like wanting to, like we would be going somewhere and he would be so anxious about getting out the door on time. And like, is everyone ready? And like, he'd want everyone to be ready, 20 minutes before we all said we were going to go and all that. And it would annoy me. And I am the exact same way.
Yeah.
And so, even the stuff that we don't like, we absorb from our parents. And so, I think that's a great point. Just modeling it and being, the things you want to be is definitely important.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because I think the whole thing of it is, and why I would come to you or to a planner in general, or really get lots of help in general, is because we want to feel like we're more in control and we're not just being led around by all these instincts.
Yeah, totally.
Sure.
So let's rewind all the way back to, okay, I think we're ready to start planning to have a kid. What do you need to start preparing for financially? Let's say you want to have it start trying in the next year or so. What kinds of things does someone need to start preparing for?
Sure. So there are two big things. One is going back to kind of what I said before, opening up an honest, open, ongoing conversation with your spouse or partner about what your values are, what kind of family you want to raise, what's important to you, what kinds of things do you want for yourselves, for your kids, and what does all of that mean from a financial perspective? So, because I think, one, it's important just to kind of set a course no matter what, even if you're on your own, to kind of know what you're working towards. But especially when you're doing it with someone else, no matter how much you love each other, kind of no matter how much you feel like you're on the same page, you are different people and you have different likes and dislikes, you have different daily experiences. And if you're not kind of reconnecting on this stuff all the time, you are going to drift apart. And that can make it more difficult to kind of work together towards goals. It can also lead to just like stress and anxiety and blame and fighting and all of that. So I think, if you're starting a family together, and particularly from a financial perspective, creating some environment, whatever it is for you, where you guys are having regular conversations about what's important from a lifestyle perspective, what does that mean from a financial perspective, and being able to just talk about how you're working towards that together on a regular basis. So that to me is number one. And number two is getting some kind of control over your income and expenses. And it's, this is true no matter, again, what stage you're in, but, setting all those goals is really nice. But the way you get there is by taking the money that's coming in and sending it somewhere. And so, and especially, you might have done that on your own, but if you're now joining finances with partner, you guys are again going to have your own habits, your own, bank accounts that need to be merged to some extent, your own, preferences for doing things. And so, to be clear, I'm not necessarily advocating a strict budget where you set strict limits and live within them. There are a lot of different ways to do it. But just having some sense of, what money's coming in, where is it going, and having a system that lets you take control over that and make some purposeful decisions so that you can actually make progress towards whatever goals are important to you. So, and we can talk about kind of a specific process for getting a handle on the cash flow, with respect to a baby, because I think there are some good steps there too. But just at a high level, those are the two things that I would prioritize.
I kind of want to dig into that a little bit too, because I feel like a lot of people may have heard that and said, so what do I do? How do I get it?
Yeah. So this is something that is a process my wife and I use and that I've recommended to a lot of clients in terms of cash flow. And because and the point of all of this is just recognizing that having a baby is going to definitely change expenses, very possibly change income. And to the extent that you can prepare for that ahead of time, you can set yourself up really well. So the first step is, again, just getting a handle on what your income and expenses are right now. So you could go back through your bank accounts and create a spreadsheet if you want. You could use a program like mint.com, or You Need a Budget. It's something I'm a big fan of. But just knowing, again, how much money is coming in right now and where is it going? How much is being spent on eating out? How much is being spent on cell phones, on clothes, whatever it is. Then step 2 is getting some sense of how is your income going to change. Because you might be switching to a single income. A lot of people, that would obviously be a decrease in income. You might, even if you're not, have a decrease in taxes because your family size has grown. You get qualified for certain tax credits. You might actually have more net pay after having a child. And even then, you might have some kind of temporary maternity or paternity leave where your income is lower for some temporary period of time. So getting a handle on what your income is going to be, if you're switching to a single income, there's a website, Paycheck City, where you can estimate what your paycheck would look like. If you will be the working parent and you no longer have the second income, you're probably going to have a decrease in taxes. So looking at what your paycheck's going to be, getting some sense, what's your net pay going to be when you have a child? And then what are the expenses going to be, right? So what are your increase in expenses? So Baby Center has 2 calculators that I like, the website babycenter.com. And I can send you guys those links, but they basically help you estimate, based on where you live, what your income is, and things like that, how much this baby is going to cost you, because it really depends on where you live, especially with childcare.
Right.
Like in New York, where you guys are, it's crazy expensive.
Wait.
A little bit. Go ahead.
So is this like one of those home loan calculator things, but for babies?
Kind of. I mean, it's like, so they have 2. They have 2 things. They have
I'm really
one that's very
excited about
general.
that.
They have one that's kind of general. It's just like basically you put in where you live and your income, and they give you like dollar amounts. And then there's another one where you can get a lot more specific and kind of put in specific numbers.
I want to do the in-depth one. I hope they, when they tell you your results, they also have like a 3D baby that they shove
Just
at the
imagine
screen.
your baby in the thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so
No, that's really helpful though, because I'm joking about it, but I always loved, before I had a home, I always loved those mortgage calculator things, and
how much does it cost to buy one? What unexpected expenses? Because that's the thing too. Is I feel like you think about having a baby, and I know that even just thinking about it now, I have no idea like what random things are going to come up.
Yeah, it's scary. You're not knowing even the parameters.
Yeah.
Even if it's $1 billion, that's a real number.
So where does that data come from? Like in terms of like, do they find averages based on the city and the state?
So there are kind of national studies that are done. I forget the organization that does it, that pulls a lot of data together. If you ever heard like a baby costs, I forget what the number is now because it changes every year, but like $285,000 over 18 years or something. I think they use data from those studies to get a lot of it. And so like the point with this isn't to get this super specific, because it's impossible to get specific ahead of time, but like I used it just to get like really a ballpark number, like what's like a nice round reasonable number I can plug into my budget and just say like baby cost, and like add that like it's $600 a month to my budget or something, whatever it was at the time, I don't remember.
Babies are cheap.
If you're not in childcare, if you're not using childcare, then they actually are not super expensive at first.
We see. Let me see if I got it correctly, so I can quote you. So raising babies is easy if you don't care about the child. I got it.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
The worst. Don't tweet that. Nobody tweet that.
Yeah.
What? Well, it's probably true. It's probably true.
Then there's actually no cost to you.
Exactly, right. If you just leave them alone, then
just don't bother them.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah. You got to teach independence at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Why not start early?
Right.
I want to ask a little bit about, when you're thinking about and planning and preparing, those mortgage type calculator things are fine if you've got a solid system going, but if you don't have other types of support, Like, if you know that you can't rely on your own parents or your own family, or that you have family that is already asking things of you or having need of you, you've got someone staying with you, stuff like that. How do you factor all those things into? Because in my mind, that just becomes, I just can't be a parent yet because I don't know what to do.
Yeah. It's a good question. It's a tough one. I don't know that I have an answer to it, because I think it really just depends on the specifics of what you're dealing with. I mean, I think that, it's definitely harder if you don't have parents that can support you. I mean, I was very lucky. We had supportive parents, more just from like a time standpoint and being able to help with kids and stuff like that. But a lot of people don't have that. And a lot of people definitely don't have parents that could chip in financially if things get rough. So, I think that, as I'll continue talking about this process, one of the things that I think is helpful is to, if you can, and this is part of what we'll get into, build up just some level of cash savings. Because especially if you do not have that support, that would probably be more important, because you really are reliant on yourself. And I know that can be tough. It's easy to say, build up some savings. That's not always easy. But to the extent that you can, just having your own support, basically. That knowing that your parents aren't there, and if you have families who are dependent on you, I mean, that's really difficult. And I know it can be kind of like having a child, in that you can kind of budget a number in there, but the number doesn't always work because they're family. And, so it's hard. I don't know that I have a specific answer, but I can definitely.
I don't think there is a specific answer. That was really helpful.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Do you have like a ballpark number that people should think about saving if they don't have that support? Is there like a rule of thumb or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's too different from the kind of standard emergency fund advice to have, try to have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in a savings account.
Like length of maternity leave or something.
Yeah, and exactly. Things like that will factor into it. Like, will you get paid maternity leave or not? Because that could factor into how much you need to have. Are you both going to be working, or are you going to be, switching to a single income? That could impact how much savings you need. Do you have money elsewhere? Do you have other kind of financial resources that could potentially be used if they had to be? So there are a lot of questions that go into it. But I think starting from 3 to 6 months of expenses, and specifically, like you said, factoring in maybe maternity or paternity leave would be a good idea.
Okay, cool. Now, what happens if it's a surprise?
Hold on. Let me finish just this. So through this process, we figured out, kind of what are your income and expenses now? How is your income going to change? How are your expenses going to change? And what you can do then is get to a total monthly budget difference with the baby. So based on your difference in income and your difference in expenses, kind of what money is going to be, do you have available now that you won't have available, or that will be going towards other things once you have a baby, right? Yeah. So just for a nice even number, let's say that between income and expenses, you're going to have $1,000 less a month when the baby gets here, right? So what you can do now is start living on $1,000 less per month. And put that money into a savings account every month, because that lets you get used to the budget ahead of time.
Yep.
Without the dire pressure of, if you can't do it, everything falls apart, because you actually do have the money.
Right.
You get to practice it, and you get to build up some savings that we were talking about. It's kind of a way to build that cash cushion and give yourself more of a buffer.
Right,
so
right.
That's the system.
I really like that, because then you get used to spending less, and at the same time
saving a little bit
more while you can. So I guess even if you only have 9 months, that's still like $9,000.
Yeah, you're your own matching donation.
You're your own matching donation.
Right.
Exactly. I love it. So, what about a surprise?
Yeah, congratulations.
Right?
Yeah. Asking for a friend.
Yeah, right. I think that the process probably isn't all that much different. Maybe the mindset is different, because you weren't as mentally prepared for it. So it might take a little bit longer to just kind of get in the in the mindset of preparing and all of that. But I
Yep.
think the process would really still be the same in terms of, taking stock of where you are now and taking a guess at what it's going to look like, when the baby gets here, and trying to, make up the difference in between.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. You just have less time, basically. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
here we go.
Well,
Right.
and
Yeah,
the mindset
exactly.
stuff, yeah. Do you
Yeah.
ever have to coach mindset stuff? Because I heard you say you had a little bit of a background in psychology.
Yeah, I would say that I don't necessarily coach mindset, but I do think that I do a decent amount of like helping people understand how on track or not on track they are,
Right.
kind of a thing. So like I'll have people come to me. Honestly, I had someone come to me just a few weeks ago who said they were super embarrassed about their financial situation, all the mistakes they had made and how far behind they were. And I looked at it and I was like, honestly, you guys can save less for retirement if you want, because
Wow.
you guys are more than on track. And I know you have other things that are important to you. So sometimes, and sometimes it goes the other way too, but sometimes it's just helping people. Like people just don't know,
Yeah.
like, they don't know what to do and they don't necessarily know where they are and how on track they are and stuff like that. So I'd say it can be helpful from that standpoint. That can help the mindset.
Word,
Um,
yeah.
Yeah. No. Ooh, that's a good conclusion. Actually, you're saving too much for retirement.
Right. Yeah.
That's pretty
Everyone
cool.
wants to hear that.
Yeah, right? So in terms of like the pregnancy part, I feel like I get this question a lot from clients in terms of like, you have to go to the doctor every month now suddenly. Maybe you're taking vitamins, you're getting ultrasounds. Like, what extra expenses should someone prepare for during the pregnancy?
Yeah. So that's a great question. As things stand right now, if you have insurance, most of those things are covered.
Oh, okay, cool.
Because they're considered preventive care.
Oh, wow,
most
okay.
Of the checkups and all that kind of prenatal care. The vitamins you probably have to pay for.
Right.
But that's not super expensive. It is an expense. But most of the kind of regular checkups, ultrasounds and things like that are covered. Now, if there are certain complications to pregnancy, there can be bills for that.
Mhm.
And obviously the delivery charges, themselves will vary by hospital and location and insurance coverage. I was reading something that said average delivery charge is $10,000 to $15,000.
Oh,
That's not out of pocket.
Right.
That's before. So it depends
Right,
on your
yeah.
insurance and all of that. But so honestly, the medical bills. I mean, there are costs to potentially having to miss time from work or trying to things
Right.
like that. But the actual cost of just the routine medical care usually isn't that high.
Is that even true when, and this is varied degrees, so I'm going to use broad language, hippie-esque type of things, whenever people want to do natural this, in the water that, or any combination of those? Are those similarly like partially covered and not that expensive, or can it balloon?
That's a good question, and the honest answer is I'm not sure. I don't have much experience with that, to be perfectly honest with you. So that's a really good question. But I don't know. It'd be worth looking into.
Yeah, and I because I know it goes like all over there's like very different versions of them.
Yeah, and I feel like most insurance doesn't cover at-home birth. But I
Yeah,
think,
that's what I feel like too.
But I think FSA might, like flexible spending accounts
Right.
might.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we should check on.
Well, I
yeah,
guess
because I've seen
that's-
that more often.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
that's a really important insurance thing that we don't think about
Yeah.
when we're selecting insurance is when it comes to these big life events, what do they cover? The stuff that's definitely going to happen. You might not get the cancer or the whatever other disease, but if you know you're going to have a baby, that should be a thing you pay attention to for your insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's a great point. I mean, and it's hard because when you're picking insurance, I mean, I've done it a lot now, and it's hard. There's so many different things you're considering, but that's a great point. If you do know that you're going to be having a baby during the year, just being really careful about what are all the costs associated with that, because it might be worth paying a higher premium potentially
Right.
if more of the delivery and all of that would be covered. So.
Yeah, or if the dedeductible is lower. That makes sense. Whew,
Yeah.
so much
Or
planning.
if they cover the weird thing you want to do.
Right, if they
Yeah.
cover
Right,
the weird
or if they
thing.
cover, right. Your hippy dippy stuff.
Yeah.
In my head, it's just like biting on a stick, and that can't be that expensive.
Oh, geez.
Right.
Somebody out there is patented.
That's patriarchy for you right there.
Jesus.
It's just that easy to bite on a stick.
We're
Right.
never going to have a kid. I'm like, what are you talking about?
What? That's
Biting
all
on
we're
a stick?
covered for.
Biting on a stick, that's all we get. Oh, jeez.
If you want the squeezable stress ball, that's a higher premium.
Oh, my God. So I feel like I see a lot of parents potentially go overboard on buying things that people tell them, like, you should have this. If you really love your kid, you'd get this for them. Like, what kinds of things have you seen parents go overboard on, or what kinds of things are just, like, really honestly not necessary to buy?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is that, like, a newborn really does not need very much. So there's two sides to this. There's a bunch of stuff that people buy that they don't need, and there are probably some things that people don't buy that we can talk about that they should. So from the standpoint of just, like, gear, they need, like, a car seat, and you can't really skimp on that. You got to buy a new car seat. They need a place to sleep. They need some clothes. They'll probably need bottles and formula and diapers and wipes and all that stuff. But you go to, like, Babies R Us, and man, it is insane, all of the things they want you to buy. And I bought a lot of that stuff too, because it's, you don't know what you're doing. And you're scared, and you're like, oh, we'll probably need this, they'll probably need that. And so, most of that stuff, they really don't need. Newborns are really not very picky about, the color of their bathtub and stuff like that. So, there's not that much gear. On the flip side, when we can get into some of this too, if you want, but things that a lot of people ignore are things like insurance, like life insurance, disability insurance, wills, and stuff like that do cost money. They're not always, cheap. And they are important, and they're not at Babies R Us. And they are things that parents should be thinking about, but they do get kind of put to the side in a lot of cases. Yeah.
Do you have a thing that you remember buying where you're like, oh my God, why did I buy this? That you just, like, never
We bought
used?
Like, one of those things that they put them in, and they can, like, kind of jump up and down a little bit, like a bouncer thing. I forget what it's called. And honestly, our kids didn't even like it, and it was like, it was big. It took up, like, half of our living room. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it was just this big thing in the middle of our living space, and it was totally worthless.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna roll to another song, and then we are gonna talk about life insurance and wills and 529 plans. And should I say for college or retirement?
All the fun parts about being
save that till the end.
Yeah. We're gonna go. This is another interesting name. It's not as many words. Dizzle Tracks with Where Your Parents At. You're like this. I like this. This is not from a parent. This is from someone who's seeing children doing stuff on their own and want to know what your parents is doing. Anyway, check you in a minute. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio.
Man, I cannot believe somebody done left their kids up in here running around like it's a playground.
D, don't trip.
Nah, I'm gonna say something. This isn't a daycare center. The hell? I'm gonna walk over there right now. Hold on.
Wait, come back, man.
Hey, hold on. No. Put it down, no. Leave it alone. Hey, little kids, stop running around messing up the store before you break something. Matter of fact, where your parents at? Can you point them out so I can say something? 3 of you, 5 adults, but none of them even look like y'all. Hey, little kid, don't climb on that before you mess around, slip and fall.
Don't tell us what to do. We're just waiting for our mom. We left the other store cause she was taking too long. I'm watching my brothers cause I'm old enough to do that. I'm 7, he's 5, he's 2. We call him Tupac.
I don't give a damn. You can't be all up in here all by yourselves. Y'all take a seat over on the bench. I'm gonna go and call the cops for help. Make sure they don't get up and be running around acting insane. I'm gonna get your parents up in here. Hey, little kid, what's your name?
My homies call me J-Ray. I don't need no help, bro. Mom says she'll meet me here. Don't call the popo. I babysit all the time. Need to stop tripping. Fall back, bro, cause snitches get stitches.
Where your parents at? Where your parents? Where your parents at? Where your parents at? Where your parents? Where your parents at? 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 You must be tripping if you think I'm babysitting. I ain't getting paid for that, so y'all need sit and listen. Running, hitting, jumping, standing on the table, sopping. I don't get paid for that. I'm not Mary Poppins.
Better chill out. I'ma tell my mom. We're just sitting here and staying calm. So you better go and get back to work. Or I'll call your boss and tell him you're a jerk.
Okay, while you're at it, call CPS. Cause your parents ain't here to come clean this mess. Little baby's kids trying to get me fired. And why your little brother walking around in just a diaper?
You should mind your business.
Where you going? I ain't finished.
We're about to leave, so you can stop tripping. My mom's not even on her way over here.
Why you say that?
'Cause I drove her car here.
Wait. What?
Ugh. Bye, Felicia.
Where your parents at? Where your parents? Where your parents at? Where your parents? Where your parents at? 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 Where your parents at?
And we are back. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio.
Yeah, we are here with Matt Becker, certified financial planner and founder of momandadmoney.com.
He wasn't the guy you just heard rapping. That was Dizzle Tracks with Where Your Parents At.
Where your parents at?
And Matt doesn't care where your parents are at because wherever they are, he has trained them to be able to handle themselves.
Yes, exactly. He's let them be free in the wild.
Free-range parents.
Free-range parents.
That's what he offers. Free-range parenting.
That should be your new tagline. Free-range
I like
parents.
it.
Cage-free.
Cage-free. Okay, so the most common question that I always get from potential parents or existing parents is, should I start saving for my kids' college or should I keep saving for retirement? I don't want them to have student loans like I have student loans, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what
No,
do
it's a
you
good
do?
one. I get that all the time too. And it's a great question because like obviously you're asking that question, you care about your kids, like you said, you want to give them opportunities to get an education and start off on the right foot without student loans, all that. The common analogy, and this is not one I've made up, but it's, you hear it a lot, is you're on an airplane and the oxygen masks come down, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're always supposed to put your oxygen mask on first, right? Because
Even
that's
with
how
college education, damn.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So you put your mask on first, and then you help your kids because you make sure you're in a position to help other people. And so
Right.
that's really the same logic goes to this argument, and it can feel selfish, but it really just makes a lot of sense to put yourself first, save for retirement, get yourself on track, and then figure out college. And there are a lot of reasons for it, but one, I mean, you look at college and there's just a lot of ways to pay for it. So
Okay.
you could save for it. That's great. If you can do it, then it's great. You could pay for it from like cash flow, pay for at least some of it like a bill, while they're in school. They could go to a lower cost school. Your kids could work while they're in school and pay some of their own way, work before school and pay some of their own way. There are scholarships and grants. There are student loans, which are a problem, but are not always evil, and can be used smartly. So there are just a lot of ways to pay for college. And there's really only one way to pay for your retirement, and that's saving money. I mean, there's Social Security, and that exists, and that will be around. People think it's just going to be gone, but no guarantees. But as of right now, it will be there should be there in some substantial way. But for most people, you're going to need to save some money to kind of have the standard of living that you want. And so getting that on track is really your only option. And it also makes sure that you are financially secure, and therefore you are in a position to be there for your kids and not be dependent on them, and allow them to be independent and build their own lives without having to kind of worry about you and all of that.
That is super, super real. If you don't listen to any other segments, rewind that and listen to that part like 5 or 6 times. To throw a quick little confession in there, I don't know if confession is the right word. Daddy-elect passed when I was little, and his family didn't like the whole black mom thing. So I had money from my dad that only existed for college. And in the meantime, we barely got to the point where I was going to be able to make it to somebody's college.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting how if you actually care about doing the thing, do the entire thing. Don't earmark some money for the person that you'd rather have, because that money might not get spent anyhow.
Yeah, totally. Well, and it's also, I feel like, going back to the beginning of the show where Dialect had mentioned, like, what if you're taking care of parents and they're your dependents? You don't want to put your kids in that same position, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And the other thing that I think gets ignored a lot is that, college is important. It is also 4 years in your child's life. And I think it's vastly overrated how important which college you go to is.
Yep.
Right.
And there are lots of opportunities to invest in your kids way before college.
Yes.
Yes.
Whether it's just spending time with them, or whether it's traveling with them, or letting them pursue interests they have. College gets kind of romanticized, and I think it doesn't have to be. And there are just lots of ways to invest in your kids that have nothing to do with college.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, again, with the putting your mask on, it's similar to the pay yourself first idea.
Yep.
Yeah.
These other folks, they're not necessarily doing nothing for you. You definitely have to breathe and eat, so you got to pay you.
Yeah, totally. So let's say you do have the wiggle room to save for college. Should you put it in a 529 plan? I feel like that's another buzzword that people are throwing around.
Yeah.
Should I have a 529 plan?
Yeah. Yeah. So 529 plan, just for people who don't know, basically, this could be helpful for some people. It's basically like a Roth IRA, but for college savings. So what that means is, for the most part, you contribute money that is, you don't get any tax break on the contribution. So it's not tax deductible. There are some states where you can get an income tax deduction, a state income tax deduction, but you don't get it for federal purposes. But the money grows tax-free, and then you can use it tax-free for higher education expenses.
Okay.
So college, grad school, medical school, law school, stuff like that.
Right.
I used some 529 money to help pay for my CFP courses. So you can even use it for kind of like certificate
Continuing
programs
ed.
for higher education, stuff like that. So,
Ooh, that's cool.
So they're great. If you are really dedicated to saving money specifically for higher education, then 529 plans in general are a really great way to do it because of the tax benefits. Some 529 plans are better than others. They're not all made equal. One of the tough things about 529 plans is every state has its own version, and some states have multiple versions.
Jeez.
And they're all different, and they all have different investment options and fees and all of that. So it can be confusing trying to pick one. But yeah, they're great accounts if you're saving money specifically for college. They're also not the only option. So one thing to keep in mind is potentially using a Roth IRA. If you're not already contributing to a Roth IRA and you are able to, contributing to a Roth IRA might be a better first move, because if you don't need it for college, it keeps growing and you'll be able to use it tax-free for retirement. And there are also special rules that make it available for college. So you can withdraw up to the amount you've contributed at any time for any reason, without taxes or penalties. And then if you're withdrawing it for college, you can withdraw it penalty-free. So it would be taxed.
Oh.
The earnings on it would be taxed,
Right.
but there wouldn't be any penalty even if you're withdrawing it early, as long as you're using it for higher education expenses.
That's flexible.
That's a good loophole. I love it. Okay,
Yeah.
so we got 3 minutes.
Ish.
Tell us everything about insurance and wills. Go.
3 minutes. All right.
No, what should we be thinking about?
Yeah, so if you're basically, you want to think about life insurance, disability insurance, and wills are the 3 most important things. So
Okay.
life insurance is basically there to make sure that your family, people who are dependent upon you financially, will have financial resources no matter what, even if you pass away. So a working parent definitely needs life insurance to kind of make up for the income lost. Stay-at-home parents need life insurance too, in almost every case, because they have financial value. I mean, they're caring for your children, they're taking care of the house, and also just having money for an adjustment period and all of that. So life insurance is good. Term life insurance is good. Whole life insurance is generally not good.
Stay away from whole life.
Yeah, we're doing the quick version here. So term life insurance. Disability insurance would help replace your income if you were not able to work for an extended period of time. We're getting into morbid stuff here, but a lot of people think like injuries when they think about disability, but it could be chronic back pain, it could be heart issues, it could be cancer. There are a lot of reasons you might be out of work for an extended period of time, and long-term disability insurance would cover you. And then wills, even if you have no money, even if you are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, it doesn't matter. You get a will because a will is how you would name guardians for your children if you were to pass away. And that's, otherwise that decision would be up to the state, and that's something you definitely want to be in charge of. So you can get a will for pretty cheap, a very basic will for pretty cheap. So yeah, do that.
Well, and while we're doing the quick thing, I know a lot of times when people are trying to sell you whole life insurance, the quick term whole thing, because we've talked about it on the show.
Yeah, term and
that
permanent.
people are sometimes they try to sell you on, well, hey, you can use that whole insurance for your kids' college.
Yeah.
Don't.
College and retirement and buying your home
and
everything.
all of your financial goals all at the same time.
It's mostly a scam. I just wanted to highlight that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's sold a lot of times as an investment, and there are better ways to invest your money.
Yeah.
Just stay away from whole life, universal
well,
life,
I guess
variable universal life.
It's like Pam likes to say about an investment is an investment if it's not going to make you money right now directly.
Yeah. Well, and you should keep insurance and investment separate.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, if it's a different thing, it's not an investment.
Yeah, word.
Right, exactly.
All right, Matt, final words of advice. What do you wish someone told you when you found out you were having a baby?
Yes.
Honestly, I wish someone had told me that having the second was harder than having the first.
Whoa.
But and I say that I talk about how hard it is. I love my kids. My kids are awesome. I wouldn't. I would do it over again every single time.
Yeah.
I've learned so much about Star Wars because of them. But
worth it.
It's. I'd say going from 1 to 2 was a big jump that I was.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I've never heard that before. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's great stuff to finish out on. And we're going to leave you. We're going out to Memphis.
Wait, real quick. Where can we find you, Matt?
Oh, right. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah.
Where can we find you?
You can find me at momanddadmoney.com. And you can have a free guide, New Family Financial Roadmap, that kind of lays out in order of operations if you're trying to prioritize all your financial responsibilities. So you can grab that there.
Nice. Cool. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. This is awesome. I listen to your show, and you guys are awesome. It's very cool watching you guys actually do this real time.
Well, we're fans too, and it's cool to have you come on
are.
here and share your info with folks. Thanks for listening, everybody. Please check out Matt. Check us out. Leave a comment on iTunes or any of the other places that you find us. We're everywhere, right?
Yeah, we're everywhere.
Yeah,
iTunes, leave a review if you like us. That good stuff.
See us on the street, yell something at us, or throw a food, like a good food that we could catch and eat.
Yeah,
not like
eclairs for this guy.
Oh yeah, I love eclairs. like with a good custard. Anyway, we're gonna finish you out in Memphis, Tennessee, with Duchess 901 and her joint Meet the Parents, and we will check you next week. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. Peace.
January 27th came busting out the womb. Due date the 12th of March. Hold up, it's too soon. But directions from the stars and instructions from the moon gave my soul that okay to go and travel on through. Born 7 weeks early, 7 pounds plus. Mama said it's like a little piece of heaven found us. I was all she been waiting for. Her baby girl, maybe I can finally calm all the crazy in her world. I was baby number 3. Now there's me and my 2 big brothers, but my daddy couldn't see all the beauty that could be. See, I was just another body for him to clothe in a mouth he had to feed, so the pregnancy was complicated. From the moment mama knew that she was carrying, he begged her to terminate it. All he knew is they were already struggling, barely getting by, and he was already hustling. Mama had to deal with all daddy's fussing while still trying to build from what was already nothing. That same ghetto story, but she couldn't abort me. Never did get past that one bottle, hit it hard, but he still hit my mother even harder. He was so bothered by small things and stupid shit. Life became a thing from what's love got to do with it. No Ike and Tina, just Josh and Sheba, and his bruises to her body so that people couldn't see him. But what about us though? Weren't we enough though? Sorry I hurt your mama, you still fucked up my trust though. I'll never know why my mama wouldn't leave. I felt my daddy wouldn't stop until my mama wouldn't bleed, but she found an escape. Around the spring of '88 is when I'm thinking that she got her first taste. See, crack was the thing then. She probably tried it with friends, but never thought that she would ever be a fiend then. Kid steady growing, daddy steady showing her the back of his fist, but with this she's ready for